Good morning. How are y'all doing? We're back at it. Back at it again. Hold on one sec. Uh, okay. Then that message. All right, what are we doing today? So what we're gonna do today is practice more Go, which has kind of been our modus operandi for the last 18 days. We're just gonna keep continuing on with it. Excuse me. Let's see. We're gonna do more admin of code to start with. So let's go over to admin of code. Let's switch over to day 14. Now Pablo had a good idea yesterday. Pablo said, "Hey, you should really do some of the problems that you weren't able to do last year." So I think that's what we'll do. I think we'll start on day 18. I think is where I left off. That's what we're gonna do. That's the plan. First, we must consume our hydration and our oranges. All right. So what's the problem for day 18? Well, first, hold on. First, before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's eat our oranges first. I'm gonna dive right into this thing without any warm up. Looks like it's gonna be a quiet stream today. I like it. Not a lot of folks around. Back to how it used to be. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Oh, what's up, a noob? A nub? How are you doing? Good to see you, man. Welcome to the party. As you can tell, we're a lively bunch this morning. Okay. This is called Ram Run. Ram Run. So we need a main.go. We need a main test.go. Package main. Package main test. Alright. Now we're off to the races. Vatsal. Hello, Vatsal. What's the plan? What's going on? So what's the plan is we're going to practice more Go. So we're going to try to solve day 18 of 2024 today for practice, and then we'll probably spend a little bit of time building a link tree site for myself using Go. It should be pretty fun. I guess it really depends on how quickly I can solve this code thing, whether or not we get to the links website, but we'll see. Good morning, Renee. Good to see you. Thanks for being a member. Appreciate you. I'm still warming up. Doing admin of code this early in the morning is going to be quite challenging. You're welcome, Steven. Thanks for the great stream. Well, I appreciate that, Renee. I don't know if I would ever classify it as great, but I do try. That's all. So you are like new to Golang? Yeah. I normally work in TypeScript or .NET primarily. I can also write Python, but I try to avoid Python as much as possible. So now I'm new to Golang. And I like it so far, yeah. Definitely doesn't beat out C# for me, but I like it. Alright, let's read this puzzle. Oh, I'm new too, like 6 months. I'm working with Golang as a junior dev. Nice, very cool. Well, welcome to the party. You're 6 months, 5 months ahead of me, so you're always welcome to correct me if you see me doing something wrong, because I'm learning. All right, what's the problem? You in this story? This is I didn't get to this day last year, so I've never seen this problem before. It's brand new to me. You and the historians look a lot more pixelated than you remember. You're inside a computer at the North Pole. Just as you're about to check out your surroundings, a program runs up to you. This region of the memory isn't safe. The user misunderstood what a push-down automation is, and their algorithm is pushing whole bytes, down on top of us. Run. The algorithm is fast. Also, you have to keep in mind that every day is like a story that builds on top of itself, so we're kind of coming into the middle of the story, right? So if some of this stuff doesn't make sense to you, that's why. It's going to cause a byte to fall into your memory space once every nanosecond. Fortunately, you're faster, but quickly By quickly scanning the algorithm, you create a list of which bytes will fall, your puzzle input, in the order they'll land in your memory space. Your memory space is a two-dimensional grid. Shocker. Shocker. With coordinates that range from 0 to 70. I say shocker because like a lot of advent of code is 2D grids. 0 to 70 from both horizontally and vertically. However, for the sake of an example, suppose you're on a smaller grid with coordinates that range from 0 to 6 in the following list of incoming bytes. Okay, each byte, this is our example puzzle, each byte position is given as an XY coordinate, where X is the distance from the left edge of your memory space and Y is the distance from the top of edge of your memory space. So this is very similar to the grid we did yesterday, if you were here yesterday. You and the historians are currently in the top left corner of the memory, which is 0, 0, and you need to reach the exit in the bottom right corner. So you basically need to traverse the grid. So this, I'm immediately thinking some sort of depth first or breadth first search. Probably breadth first search is what I'm immediately thinking. Anytime somebody brings up path traversal, I'm almost always going to go there in my mind. So basically we have this grid, right? And we're here. And we need to get here. And so there's going to be places where the memory has been corrupted that we can't go, and there's going to be places that are uncorrupted that we could go, right? That's let's see. As bytes fall into your memory space, they make that coordinate corrupted. Corrupted memory coordinates cannot be entered by you or the historians, so you'll need to plan your route carefully. Yeah, so this is a this is like that. This is probably a breadth first search. Yeah, that's what we're gonna need to do to solve this. I think you cannot leave the boundaries of the. And if you're like, well, how do you know that? The only way I know that is because there's been problems. There was problems like this last year that I actually did solve that were just like this, and there were problems in 2023 that were like this. So I just learned about breadth first search by doing advent of code. Because I don't have a computer science background. In the above example, I mean, I've learned DSA through programming, but I didn't go to school and was taught DSA. If you were to draw the memory space after the first 12 bytes from fallen using a dot for safe and a hash for corrupted, it would look like this. You can take steps up, down, left, or right. So we don't have to worry about moving diagonally, right? So we only have to go down, right, left. After just 12 bytes have been corrupted, have corrupted locations in your memory space, the shortest path from the top left corner to the exit would take 22 steps. Here is one such path. Okay. So simulate the first kilobyte, so 1024 bytes, falling onto your memory space, and afterward, what is the minimum number of steps needed to reach the exit? So minimum number of steps to me is I'm always thinking breadth first search because, right, we're basically going to explore all options layer by layer, right? And when we find the first layer that gets us to the end of our path, we know we've taken the minimum number of steps. Versus depth first search, right? So that I always remember the difference between depth and breadth is depth uses a stack and breadth uses a queue. So last in, first out versus first in, first out, right? So that's the first thing I'm thinking of whenever I hear find me the minimum number or find me the shortest path. Now, I think the way to do this is probably to build our grid, because our puzzle input is not a grid, but this is essentially what we want to work with. But instead of simulating 22 steps, instead of simulating, 12 bytes? There you go, 12 bytes. we're going to simulate 1024. So our puzzle input must be pretty big. So let's copy the example and try to set all this up. Example.txt. Also, I make no promises that this is going to be successful. This could go horribly wrong. Get my puzzle input. Oh yeah, this is a big input. I wonder, I don't know if I'm going to do part 2, but I'll be interested to see. I wonder if part 2 is going to be like you have to place all of these, or maybe you have to place them and then figure out the shortest path as you go, placing them on each iteration or something like that. There's going to be some, gotcha in part 2. That's gonna screw you up. Oh my goodness, this thing is long. Alright, let's start by writing a test. So we're going to import, okay, Copilot will end up solving this for us, so we have to disable Copilot. Import our testing package. So we'll have a function, we'll call it solve part 1 with example input. That's how we've been basically naming all of our tests. Star T, or testing dot T, excuse me, testing dot T, and then we're gonna say expected. I think is for the example input, it was expected was 22 steps for the shortest, and then we'll have a results, which will be something like solution dot solve part 1, and we'll pass in our example .txt, and then if result does not equal expected, we want to fail the test. So we'll say error f, and we'll say got %d but wanted %d. The fact that I can actually type some of this stuff without like completely freezing up is a good indication to me that all this practice is actually working. Because I couldn't have told you how to type this part, like this. I would have had to look at other code I've written. But now I'm starting to remember it. I'm starting to commit some of it to memory. So this isn't going to compile, obviously. So if we go to RAM run. Oh, my viewer thing failed. No! How do I fix this? Let's go to viewer count fetcher, remove the token response. We'll do .net index.cs. This should initiate the OAuth flow again. There must be a bug in my code. There we go. It's back. So RAM run. Okay. So let's copy the path of our example input, and we'll put that in our tests here. And then let's see if we can't do, so we do %. How do I, in NeoVim, how do I replace just the text within the selection? See, NeoVim, search and replace within selection. So press V, okay. Extend the selection, yep, I did that. Let's see. With the text visually selected to enter the command line, NeoVim will automatically pre-fill the command line with this, representing the start and end of your visual selection. Oh, nice. Didn't know that. I learn something new about NeoVim every day, man. Yep, there we go. Okay, so there's a %S. We're gonna replace these guys with this. So how do I... There we go. Escape / and then we want to say what? G. There we go. That worked? That worked. That was so painful to do, but it worked. Alright. Don't ask me why it was so painful. Okay, so if we run our test, this is not going to compile. So now we need to implement our solution. So let's go over here. Let's start with the simplest thing. We're trying to follow what Chris James taught us in Learn, Go, and Test, right? So it's some TDD here. So we're going to have func solve part 1. This is going to take a file path, which is a string. And we are going to... Also, the other thing we need to take in, actually, is we need to take in the number of bytes to simulate. So, because it's a parameter, right? For example, we're supposed to simulate 12, but for our actual input, we have to simulate 1024. So we'll just make that something we can pass in from our test. So we'll say bytes to sim, like that. This will be an int. And this will return an int. So all we'll do here is we'll just say return 0, like that. And this is obviously going to complain because we haven't actually passed it the 12. And then we also need to import the solution. Solution is going to be equal to github.com /Stephen Freeborn / practice go / ram run. Nice. Now everyone's happy. So we go test. Gorgon Black, are you sociopath friendly? I'm not a sociopath. Also, it's been a minute, man, since I've seen you around my chat. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Test warning. No test run. Why did no test run? Oh, that's because in Go, your test has to be named test. I'm okay. How are you? I'm doing well. Yeah. Yeah, life's good, man. My family's over their illness that we had last week. There's our failure. Right there. So now we can begin implementing. So the first thing we need to do is, I think the first thing we need to do is we need to build a grid, right? So we need to build whatever the grid is supposed to be. Because I also think that might help us with troubleshooting when we get into trouble. But yeah, Gorgon, what I was saying is, yeah, I'm good, man. I'm healthy. My family's healthy. I've got a warm cup of coffee here. We got a problem to solve in code. Life is good. Life is abundantly good. Yeah, it is awesome, man. What about you? All's well there? Life hopefully is treating you well, work's treating you well, all that good stuff. Yeah, so I think the reason why I want to build a grid is because I think when I get myself into trouble, I want to be able to print this, you know? So um let's just build our grid the same way. So a period will represent a safe spot, a number sign will represent corrupted space and memory, just like they have here. So the question is, so how do we figure out the dimensions of the grid? Well, our input theoretically should tell us, right? So we should be able to figure out what the maximum. Well, we could do one of the things. We could just take their word for what the grid size is, or we could figure it out from the input. I think to start with, I'll just take their um what do I say? I'll just take their word for what the grid size is. That'll make it a little simpler to get started. So let's go to our test, and so we're gonna have grid size, which I think was 6. Was the grid size there? And then we'll have bytes to sim. So this would be 12. So I think what we'll do is we'll do grid size, bytes to sim. Grid size, camel case. So we just need to update the signature of this method so that we take in grid size. Like that. This is still gonna fail. It's still gonna fail. Alright, so let's build our grid. So how would we get our grid? Whoops. Well, we need to loop, right? So I think we can infer basically that it's gonna be if it's 6, we're gonna have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold on. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Am I counting right? Why does that look like it's 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7. Okay. So if you give us 6 by 6, because we're starting with a 0-based index, right? So this would mean 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to have 6 columns by 6 rows. Let's see. So we can say 4. Let's actually do a slice of string slices is what we want to return. So func new grid, and we'll pass an int or grid size. Excuse me. What are you building? We're really not building. Hold on, sorry. I don't give too much info, but it's smooth so far. My partner is still fine as fuck, and my family is taking names. Well, that's awesome, man. It's great to have a fine as fuck partner. What are you building? Like, what's the main goal? So, what am I building? I'm really building nothing right now. So I started to learn Golang this month, and so the whole reason to learn Golang was so that I could do this puzzle challenge that's coming up in December called Advent of Code. So the whole idea was, let's learn Go, and then let's use Go to solve Advent of Code. And so in order to kind of test what I know currently and what I've learned, I'm doing old Advent of Code problems, right? So, you know, what's the best way to prepare for a game? It's to practice like you're going to play, right? So that's why we're doing old Advent of Code problems. And then we're also on the side, we're working on building a small link tree website for myself, but that's sort of like secondary to the main goal. Okay, you're learning everything in the kitchen sink. Yeah, everything in the kitchen sink about Golang, basically, right? So we kind of learned the basics, and now we're trying to apply what we know to these types of problems to see what, what we don't know, what our shortcomings are. So this will be the first time I've ever implemented breadth first search in Go. So that'll be a new learning for us. So yeah, just having fun, solving problems. It's super nerdy, but I enjoy the fuck out of doing stuff like this. It's just fun to write code. It's fun to challenge your brain. It's good times. Hey, it's Jaber. What's up, dude? First time I've seen you in my chat. I like the username. Good morning to you as well, sir. Okay, so we're gonna have a row. No, we're gonna have a grid. That looks like this. And this could also be not grid, just the same return type. Yeah. So then we're just going to start looping. We're going to have two loops. So we're going to have the first loop is going to go for I guess let's make a constant up here. Let's say const safe character. I don't know what you got. We'll call it a safe character. And then we'll have const unsafe character. And it'll be a number sign. Yes, sir. I've been seeing your reels. Oh, very cool. Well, I'm glad my reels reached you. My shorts reached you. And I'm glad you made your way here to the stream. Welcome. Gorgon, I love nerd stuff, just don't like the lingo. Nerd people hate me because I understand the concepts, but don't bother to care to speak the language. What's lingo nerd people? Alright, so we want for row equals 0, and row is less than grid size, and row gets incremented. And then we're going to have for column equals 0, column is less than grid size, column plus plus, right? So we just have two loops, and then each of these loops are going to just basically append to the grid. So we'll start with a row here. New row equals what? I guess we could actually initialize the capacity too of this, couldn't we? Because we know it's going to be a slice of whatever grid size is. So we could technically make that an actual... So new row is going to be a string slice. That. And then at the end here, so for the column, what we're going to do is, or for the row, what we're going to do is we're going to say new row is basically equals to append new row with a safe character. So we're just going to, when we build our grid, we're going to assume every spot is safe. Then we can say grid equals append grid new row, and then we'll return the grid. Oh, there we go. So then what we'll do is we'll say grid is equal to new grid, pass in our grid size, like that. And now let's just print this, yeah? So it's basically the same thing we're doing down here, isn't it? So for row for row range over grid, and then for column range over row, then we format dot print column, right? I think so. But if it's the last one, then we really don't. Like I'd like to be able to actually print this as a grid for testing purposes. What's up, Arrow? Good to see you. Hey, it's Barry. You make me want to learn outside of work, even if it's for like 30 minutes. I've been working at 2 startups and still in school. So glad to have you as an inspo. Well, I appreciate that, man. Sounds like you're grinding, man. 2 startups and school. Sounds like you're doing plenty of learning. I could probably Google it, but what is advent of code? So advent of code is basically like, if you're familiar with like leak code, it's basically 24 days, or in this case, yeah, 24 days of solving like leak code style puzzles during the month of December. So the first 24 days of December, you get a puzzle each day. You try to solve it just for the hell of it, just for fun, just because it, it's something to do. And yeah, that's it. And so if you can actually read more at the website. It's I just put the website in the chat. There's a really nice gentleman. His name's Eric Wastel, I think is how you say his name. He spends time every year putting it together and publishing it on that website. And I've been participating the last 2 years and plan to participate again this year. It's become part of my holiday traditions. Okay, so you can see we've got our grid here, but it's not really a grid, it's a straight line. So what we need to do is on the very last column of each row, we just want to add a new line. So I think what we can do is we can say I don't know how nice this is, but I think we can basically say if I is equal to the length of the row minus 1, meaning we're at the last spot, then we can do print line, I think, instead of just print. There might be a more succinct way of doing this, but also the language server wants me, I think, to use a range here. Oh, I always forget you can do that. What a nice syntax. Okay, let's see what happens now. Go test. Yeah, so there's our grid. So this is our grid here. Okay, so now that we have our grid and we're able to print it, this is good, right? Because this is now visually, it's very easy to debug this and figure out where we've gone wrong when I inevitably do go wrong. So I think now that we have our grid, let's actually extract this to a different function, and let's call it function print grid. That. And let's say, okay, we're going to pass our grid, and grid is just going to be a slice of string slices, like that. All right, so let's print the grid once here. And then the next thing we need to do is we need to say, okay, let's simulate our bytes, right? So we first need to get those bytes. So the bytes are actually going to come from a file here. So and I have some helper methods that we've written earlier. So I have some file methods for reading all the text. I have some helper methods for reading things line by line. I have some helper methods for reading all the lines. In this case, I think I can actually use the streamlines because I don't really need to read all of them into memory, but maybe I just do it just because it's easy. It's always a good reason, right? What's up, Anonymous? Good morning, man. Shawshank. Hey, man, how are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing well, man. I'm healthy. Got a cup of coffee here. Got my computer, my keyboard, my clicky clacky keyboard, and we're writing some code. Life's good, dude. But nice to see you. It's almost midday in Sweden. Nice. Yeah, it's morning for me. It's 4:56 a.m., which I think there's a stream elements command, I think, for what time it is for me. There's definitely so where bro at? That will tell you the weather. Does that also tell you the time? No, oh yeah, it does. See, the time is currently 04:56. So where bro at kind of gives you all my deets, the weather, the time, all that good stuff. Morning, Pablo. How are you doing? Good to see you, man. We actually took your advice. We started on a problem that I haven't done yet. This is day 18. We're basically finding the shortest path through a grid. Like a maze is what we're doing. Are you abstracting the grid? Not yet. Not yet. We probably could, but right now we're just doing it all in line. I think the first thing I should always focus on is trying to just solve the damn problem, because if I get if I get hung up on making the code look nice, you know, then I'll never solve it. So at this point, we have our grid, we printed our grid. Now we need to get the bytes that we need to simulate. So we're gonna do input is equal to file, which is that helper module I just showed you, and we are gonna read all our lines from this particular file path. Now we need to parse this to our coordinates, right? So this is what our input looks like. So each line is going to be a number separated by a comma. And so we can essentially parse this into, you know, I mean, I guess we could just start with a tuple. We could have some sort of struct, but I think we'll just start with, Go has tuples, right? Go, tuple. Oh, there's no tuple in Go. So what do I want to parse it to? I guess just number 1, number 2, or X and Y. I think it's X and Y. I think that's the order of the. Yeah, I think this is X and I think this is Y. But I don't think he exactly says that. But I'm just gonna infer it. I'm just gonna assume. You know what they say about assumptions? Perfectly safe. Anonymous. How it going so far? I see what you did there, Anonymous. It is going well. It is going well. I'm building a tool for AOC for myself. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Struct of vectors. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have a function called function get coordinates, or get byte location, and that's going to take a string. And it's going to return 2 ints. I think you can make a tuple type like type 2 int. Oh yeah, like have two array with 2 spots on it. Yeah, definitely could do that. I think I'm just gonna do this. Okay, so first things first, we need to get our parts of our byte. So we'll say parts equals location. Actually, we need the strings package, don't we? Strings. I like that I'm starting to remember a little bit of the standard library. It's type struct int x y and then an array of vect. Yes, this would be something we could do. I'm just gonna do it like this. Strings dot split, and then we'll pass in our string, which is our location, and then what we want to sprint on, which is a comma. We'll make this a constant. Comma character. And I think this should be now a slice of string. And then we can say num or x is equal to string. We're gonna ignore the errors. We're not gonna deal with any errors. Stir convert, and we'll say ATOI. Why? I don't know why that method's named what it is, but that's what it's named. And we'll say parts 0, and then y will be stir convert ATOI parts 1. And then we'll just return those x, y, like that. And then we'll say we have for line range over input. This. Oof, struggling with half the sleep and phone keyboard. So you can add all the methods. Yeah, I think what you're saying is like just jump right to abstracting the problem. And so I'm just gonna solve everything in line, and then we can refactor to a properly abstracted and beautiful encapsulated solution that looks like I know how to code. This day I'm actually on my computer instead of bed rotting. Nice. There's nothing wrong with bed rotting. I mean, everybody needs to rot every now and then, you know? So now we need to simulate the proper number of bytes, right? So we really don't want to range over every line. We just want to range over the bytes to sim number of lines. So let's, instead of doing this, let's actually do a for I loop. So we'll say for I equals 0, and we'll say I is less than bytes to sim. We will increment I. And also, I always hate, does anybody else hate the I? Like, I is just not descriptive enough for me. So I'm going to say, let's rename that to byte index or something like that. And then we'll say byte x byte y is going to be equal to get byte location, and then we pass in input at byte index, like that. There's probably an edge case here that we aren't thinking about, like, no, what if bytes to sim is greater than the number of input lines, right? That's something that could happen. I'm just assuming they're not going to give me bad inputs, but that could happen. Why is this complaining? Declared and oh yeah, I'm not using them yet. So then all we want to do here is we just want to go to this specific place in our grid. Another note we could have is note the byte coordinate could be invalid as well. So we want to go to the place in our grid, right? So we want to say grid at this particular row and at this particular column, which I actually think I like those named better because they go along with the fact that I'm using a grid. I think I like this better. And then down here I'll do, instead of X and Y, I'll do row, column. And then we are going to just set that to our unsafe character, like this. And then after we do that, we want to print the grid again to see what has happened. Replace for loop with range. I think, yes. Yes, we can do that. All right, so we'll go test. Index out of range. Oh, God. Okay, so why are we... Why are we doing that? I think it's because our grid is only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we need 7. So we actually need to make our grid larger. So it shouldn't be this. It really should be, oh no, that's fine. It's up here where we're making our grid size. So they're passing 6 to basically mean 7. So we can just add, can we just add one? Size is equal to grid size plus 1. There we go. Okay, and then we also should probably print out format.println initial grid. You know what Pablo said though earlier is 100% right? Like there's definitely an abstraction here, right? There's an abstraction for representing the grid, and then that grid should be able to print itself, that grid should be able to walk itself, right? That grid should be able to get a value at a specific location. You know what I mean? Like that grid could really encapsulate all that behavior. Grid after sim. So now we'll do go test like this. And let's see if this matches what they have after 12 bytes. Okay, in the above space, if you were to draw the memory space after the first 12 bytes have fallen, it would look like this. Okay, so it's completely wrong. So this is their grid, right? and look at mine. I mean, I guess some of it right? No, none of it's right. Okay, so what have I done wrong? Do you think these are flipped? No, I'm suggesting a vec type. Oh, yes, 100%. Yeah. That was the same thing you said yesterday about having like the directions, right? Pulled into a separate module. Time for a grid.get that returns an error if it's outside. Yes, indeed it is. 100%. It's flipped. I think so. I think I flipped the location, right? Because this is X and this is Y, but Y actually is the column, right? Or no, Y is the row. So I think yeah, I think I want to I think I need to flip these. So I think this X is the column and Y is the row. So this actually, that first number, hold on. I do this every time with the X, Y's and the rows and the columns. I do this every time. So yeah, I think that's what's going on. I think that's what I have screwed up, right? Because I think this is column and this is row. Oops, I can't see it. It's too low on the page. Okay, where's their grid? Yeah, that's what was wrong. See, that always screws me up because so Y is going to tell us, the Y is actually going to tell us which row to get, and then the X is going to tell us which column in that row to get. So there we go. So we have initial grid, then our grid after sim. Now at this point that we have this filled out, this is where we need to do a breadth first search, right? So we need to go through these. Then we need to, from each spot, we need to begin visiting up, left, down, right. And whenever we reach an unsafe place, we'll halt. Whenever we reach the target, which is the bottom right, we found our shortest path, right? Because we're doing a breadth first search, it's always guaranteed whenever we do get here, it should be the shortest path to get there. So now we need to implement. Oh, you had X and Y. Yes, that was 100% what it was. X and Y were flipped. 100% what it was. Oh, vertically flipped. No, I had, yeah, I just completely screwed it up. You just thought I had like kind of screwed it up. I just completely fucked it up. Okay, I've never done a breadth first searching Go. So normally in C sharp, I would just use a queue, but that's a class in C sharp. So I have to, I guess, implement a queue myself, basically. Also, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna go blow my nose real quick. 1 sec. Okay, here we go. All right, we're close. We're close. Now we're gonna do the real work. Hey, what's up, Artwork Studios? Good to see you, man. How you doing? I wondered if you'd be here. Okay, so let's just say, what do we want to call this function? I guess let's call this function sh get. What did they call it in their code? They I think they called it the number of steps, or not their code, but their problem. What is the minimum number of steps? Minimum number of steps. So I think in our code we can call it get min steps. Sound good? And then this will take our grid, which again is just a slice of slices, like that. Just came home from school. Sometimes have school, sometimes don't. Pretty messy on the school systems in. That wouldn't be fun. That's got to be a nightmare for your parents. That would be a nightmare for me and my wife if every day we had to wake up and figure out, are the kids going to school today or not? Yeah. I think if that was the case, we probably homeschool. I keep trying to convince my kids to do homeschool. They won't do it, but selfishly I would love for them to do homeschool. All right, so let's just declare what we know. And what we know is we always are going to start at the top left, right? So we're always going to start our search from the top left, and we're looking for the bottom right. So top left is always going to be 0, 0. Bottom right is always going to be the length of the grid and the length of the last row in the grid. Again, this is where Pablo's idea of abstracting this would be helpful, because we could just have a method on the grid that we could say is like get length or get last position. You know what I mean? Get first position, get last. But we could abstract all this away. But I think to start with, we're just gonna say start column. No, start row is 0. Start column is 0. And then target row is grid hello. And now we're back. I I don't know what happened there, guys. I don't. All I heard was like in my headphones, I heard like a, and then everything cut out, and now it's back. So Maybe OBS did have a stroke. I have no idea. That was a little off. That was a little unsettling. It was like I got hit by like a EMP or something. Okay, so back to what we were doing. Maybe because of overwork. Yeah, I have been putting my computer through the paces, man. I think I've streamed every day for the last like 40 plus days or something. So anonymous, you doing breadth first search now? Yes. So I'm gonna do breadth first search now. So we're gonna have target column, and that's going to be the length of, let's just say I'm just gonna do the length of the first one. -1. And so I'm just gonna print, just to make sure I have this right, I'm gonna print target row and target column. We can also do print dot start row start. Can you pass multiple things to print line? I've done some DSA, not too much. Oh, I actually need to call that function. Let's see. Print, or no. Let's say get min steps past the grid. Yeah, I've done the only DSA I've really ever done has been for like Advent of Code or Leak Code or Code Wars. Yeah, so that's this is our start, and this is our target. So now we need a queue, because I know some people solve this kind of stuff recursively. It's not that I don't like recursion, I just don't feel like it's very easy to understand. When I look back at code that I wrote that used recursion, I always think, wait a minute, what am I trying to do? You know? Now there are some edge cases that we probably should consider, like what if start or target is corrupted, right? So like basically if either of these spots have a byte on it, then like we're fucked. Like that's pretty easy, right? Like that's if so I guess we can do target value, and we can say grid target row target column, like this. I don't even know how to manipulate a grid as an array. So you can just think of a grid. You can just think of a grid as like a 2D array, right? So you have like each item in the top array is your rows, and then each item in each nested array is your column, right? That's how I usually, obviously, that's how I represent it usually. Maybe there's a different way to do it, but that's how I usually do it. And then we'll do, okay, so if start value does not equal, or does equal, unsafe character, or target value equals unsafe character, right? So if either of these things are true, we're just going to return, I don't know, 0, I guess. I mean, the minimum number of steps really can't ever be 0, so I think I'm just going to use 0 to represent a bad case. I guess we could use like a negative value, right? Or we could use some like obscenely high number. I think I'm just going to use 0 for now. unless that becomes a problem. So if the start or target is corrupted, we're done. Now we need to implement a queue. So how do we do that? I think without using any type of structs, which we could use a struct, I think what we could do is we could just have our queue is going to be a slice, and that each slice is going to have an int. So we could do something like this. We could do. So if I was in C#, this is what I would do. I would do. If this was C#, I'd do this. Var queue equals new queue, and then I would keep track of the current. And keep track of the current Y, or maybe the current row, and the current column. And I'd keep track of the distance, I think. Right? So like how many places or how many steps maybe I've taken. So maybe distance is a bad word, but maybe it should be steps. This is what I would do in C#. And then I'd also have I'd also have like a list of places we've been. So like a visited equals a new list, probably, I guess. And this would probably have like an int array in it. I don't know. We basically want a list that we can keep track of. Have we been to this spot yet, or have we not been to this spot yet? That's basically what we're keeping track of. So it could be a list of like. Well, it really needs to be a 2D array. So I think I would probably do something like this. Bool. Bool. Yeah, something like that. Like this. I don't know, something like that. So how would I represent these same things but in Go? I think maybe for Go we could do Q is going to be equal to a slice of ints, and then we could just use the position of the ints, right? So we could say this is my process, okay? I like to kind of pseudo code this stuff out. So imagine I'm getting ready to start, right? So I would have something like this where I'm 0, 0, 0, right? Because I'm starting at the very first position and I haven't gone any steps. Right? So we could actually do that by saying hold on. Oh, that's not right. I have to do this. You can hard code the 3 for the internal array. Oh, that's a good idea. So that's my capacity, right? Why is it complaining though? Oh, because I need to actually define that here too. Okay, so I think that's where we start with our queue there. And then for the visited, we kind of have a similar idea going on, don't we? So visited would be started at the bottom. Now, what do you mean we're at the top? Kirk, thanks for subscribing, man. I appreciate it. Cletus Elon, hi there from Nigeria. Hello, Cletus. Good to see you. Good use for a hash map. Oh, a hash map's a good idea. Like map t struct. Yeah, it'd be a good idea for like for the visited would be a good idea for a hash map, wouldn't it? A set in Go would be a map. Yeah, some sort of set that you can do .has. Sorry, I fell behind on chat here. Arvin, I just repaid my debt, sleep debt. Well, that's good, man. You want to pay that one. That's a debt that will come back to. We are draking our way through the grid. New word, throt. Okay. Yeah. So. Can a map hold? So going back to your guys' thing about a map, can a map C#, not C#, Go map key types? Here are the types that can be used as keys in a map. So I could technically use an array, huh? As the key? Is that what I'm reading here? I basically just want some way that I can indicate, like, you know, at this row and at this column we visited it, right? I basically want something like this. The key value. I'm not gonna do recursive. I'm just gonna do it iteratively. I basically avoid recursion at all costs. Which maybe is a skill issue, but I just lack of recursion makes me feel warm and fuzzy. I think the slice has to be fixed if you use it as a key. Okay. Hello, Kirk. Also, by the way, hope you're doing well. So how do I make a map in Go? Is it like, it's like I have to use the make function, right? And then I do like a map of like 2. Because I want to have the X and Y coordinates, right? So oh no, this almost feels like I should have a struct, right? Struct, like maybe an anonymous one? How do I do an anonymous one? Row. Am I doing this right? I don't know, guys. row, column, int, and then this would be a bool. I don't think I'm doing that right. Is this neat? Hold on, don't tell me. How to make a map in Go? Yes. Okay, but what if I want how to make a map in Go with a struct key? But what if I want just an anonymous? I don't want to actually name it anonymous. I'm trying to avoid adding more than what's absolutely necessary. You know what I mean? So I want something like this. Just copy and paste that. Also, can I make this a literal too? Like if I don't use make here, can't I just like make it a literal like that? There we go. So this would actually be row, and this would be column. And instead of int, I want bool like this. There we go. Okay, so I think that's the. Hold on. Why did that get upset? There we go. Can't you do it this way and then always use append? You're not initializing the map. I think you need to use make for maps. So now that now that I'm using a literal, it is initializing the map, right? Wasn't that something we learned in one of the? Hello, I love lamp. Thanks for being a member, man. Because make doesn't initialize, but if you do a literal, right, that's initialized. Is that correct? Let me double check that. Yeah, you should be able to call a pin. Okay, cool. So that was my plan. That's the plan. All right, so this is what I would have done in C#. Okay, so we've got that figured out. That was the part that I was the most worried about being able to do. Now it's more about the logic of just how we work through things. So, now the queue, a queue is first in, first out, right? So that means we basically need to take things off the queue in a specific way, right? This is where C# C# kind of makes me lazy because they have implementations for this. The other thing we need too is we need directions, right? So we can actually copy that from from yesterday's search thing. But we don't need all of them, but we do need some of them. So we need up, down, left, right. So we don't need these. We also don't have a direction. This is what Pablo was saying the other day. He's like, hey, you should really put that in a separate module so you can just reuse it. Pablo's right again. Finally, he read my message. It's a world record. I apologize, man. Yeah, it's like I'm trying to balance not losing my chain of thought and also like making sure I stay up with chat. But that doesn't mean you guys shouldn't bother me. Just please bother me, because if I wanted to do this, if I wanted to solve this by myself, I just wouldn't stream. So, um, it's good to be. It's good to have friends. It's good to have some digital friends to hang out with. So now we need to go up, left, right. So let's just make a like a directions array here. And we'll say directions is going to be a slice of directions, right? So I'll have directions, and then this will be, we can initialize this to just up, down, left, and right. Then we should be able to iterate over those. Now, we also want to do this in some sort of a, we basically want to do this forever. As long as there's stuff on our queue, we want to do this work, right? Oh, the other thing we need to do is, since we have this in our queue already, we should also mark it as visited, right? So this would be, how do I add things in the initializer of a map? Well, I can definitely do this. I can definitely do, this is going to be true. And this will be row. This would be row, start row, column, start, column. Well, I don't know. Is this right? Although I don't know how I would, is that going to actually be unique? Question for the goers. In order to access a value from a map that uses structs as key, is it by reference or by value? You need the original struct, or you use one with the same. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was just thinking about, Pablo, is like, is that actually going to be something I can later look up? So now I'm questioning now I'm questioning my decision on how to model visited. I'm gonna read up on it. Thank you, Anonymous. Yeah, let me know what you find out. I mean, I guess we'll find out here in a minute when we start trying to implement this. So I do know this. I do know that I need to run a for loop. So in C# I would have done while, I would have done while q dot length is greater than 0, right? Keep doing something. But in Go, that's going to look like for length of q is greater than 0, I think, would be the equivalent of that. So as long as there's stuff on the queue, we want to do things with it. Oh, well, we can get rid of that error by just always returning 0. So while there's stuff on our queue, loop over and do things with it. It's on the values in the struct. While. Get that out of here. You have to iterate through the whole map. Maps don't hold order. Yeah, but I don't necessarily. So, the idea, I guess, with it being a map is that I can just look up if I already have something in the map with that same row and column. But what happens if one of the fields are not comparable? I don't know. But ints should be comparable, right? So if I give it, if I do a lookup, well, let's just try. Let's just see what happens. So let's comment out this thing, right? And let's delete this, and let's just say, okay, we know that we have our start and row in there, so we should be able to say already been there, and we should be able to say visited, and then we should be able to give it that same thing, right? We should be able to say row is 0, column is 0. Already been there. Although, I think we're going to have to also comment this guy out. So let's see. Ideally, this will print true, right? Yes. True. Okay, so this should work then. Although I don't care for how verbose it is to access the key. That's a lot of characters just to look up something in a map. The length Steven goes through to avoid implementing a vec. I know. I know, Pablo, at this point, the abstraction would have helped a lot, and now mistakes were made. Okay, so let's back up. We'll uncomment all this, but at least we know. I mean, we learned something. That's the whole point of this exercise, right? So we learned something. All right, return 0. Oh no, wonder Steven didn't see my message. I actually skipped to the 30-minute mark instead of latest. That happens to me sometimes too. Whenever I jump into Tim the Tapman's typically the streamer I watch while I work, and sometimes I'll jump into his stream and be behind by an hour. Pablo, sunk cost fallacy. Yeah. Oh my goodness. The best time was a day ago. The second best time is now. You're right, but if I'm so close to solving this, and if I stop now, I'm gonna have to refactor all of it. Well, we're almost to the end though, so let's push on. Stubbing our toe hurts, but let's just keep stubbing it. Okay, so the question I have is, how do I actually work with the queue, right? So like in C#, I would say enqueue and dequeue, right? These are methods on the queue type. And in JavaScript, I would use like push, right? So I'd put the thing on, first in, first out, right? So I'd always push onto the end and take from the end, right? So how do I do that I know how to append things, but I don't think I know how to pull things off. You pinch off in a slice. Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so you just take the first item and then append. I think I see what you're saying, but I don't think I 100% know how to do it. But I think I see what you're saying. So you're saying, so first in, first out. So if we push on to the end, if we append onto the end, then we need to take from the end. Right? I'm questioning my life choices right now. Let's see. AQ is first in, first out, right? Yes, it's first in, first out. So if we have an empty array, in this case an empty slice, and we append to it, we just need to make sure we take off from the end. Exactly, that's why Ken made slices. You can have a last in, first out. Oh, can you really? I didn't know that. I thought that would be a stack, right? Last in, first out. I don't know. I'm not a DSA expert. I'm just making this shit up as I as I go to try to solve the problem. Okay, so what's our base case though? Let's start there for our loop here. You cannot have a struct with one uncomparable type, since the map implementation hashes the struct's values and then combines them into one hash. Interesting. Oh, Anonymous, I appreciate you leveling us up there on the knowledge. So I think returning 0 here is fine. So what's our base case? Well, yeah, but they are the same, just names put to them. L stack equals Q, just flip where you take. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, you're right. You can. It's just it's just naming. We're just arguing about words at some point. So we want, so let's create one that's called current. And so this is what we're gonna do. What Kirk said, where we need to say, you can also clear the slice with array length array. Oh, interesting. Well, I don't think I need to clear it, do I? I just need to take, or maybe I do need to clear it. I basically want to take the last item off the array. So that's where you're saying I do this, right? I do Q, and then it's start to the end, but not including the end, right? So I just want what does this give me? I don't think I know how to work with go get last element of the slice. But I want to actually remove it, right? Go, because I want to actually take it off the queue. Go remove last. Yeah, there you go. Remove last element from the slice. Is this where I have to make a whole new slice? Okay. Remove last element by reslicing. Okay. So then current equals, oh, so let's say Q length, or yeah, Q length equals length of Q. And then we'll say last or current index equals Q. I know I don't probably need all these words, but -1. Then I say current index. And then to finish this, I have to say Q equals Q, take from the beginning up to the current index, like that. Are you going to push to start? Oh, I didn't push to start. I just initialized it with the start in there. You probably want Q1 length. Well, do I though? Because I'm taking from the end of the slice. Then current index is always 0. So you can then push new items at the end of the slice. Without having to shift every time you add an item. Otherwise, you're doing last in, first out. Am I though? Because my queue, I'm going to add to the end of the queue, and then I'm going to take from the end of the queue. Oh yeah, that is last in, first. This is a good time to bike shed. What's bike shed? Yeah, that's yeah, exactly, yeah. So you're right. So I need to flip this. So I'm always taking from the first spot in the queue, is what you're saying. Yes, that's what you're saying. Paint a bike shed instead of fixing a house. Is that like, I don't I've never heard that expression before, and I don't think I know what it means. Yak shaving's cousin. Okay, so back up. So let me just write this in plain English. So to Pablo's point, I need to do first in, first out processing, which means I'm always going to push onto the end of the queue, right? Which means I need to take from the beginning of the queue in order for it to be first in, first out. So I'm always going to take from the beginning of the queue, right? So that means current is always going to be queue position 0, to Pablo's point. Then I'm always going to reassign queue by taking a slice of queue from the first index to the end. Yes. That sounds cursed without context. Are you talking about yak shaving? Arvin, Steven, yesterday I made that coffee you said. 1/3 hot water, 2/3 espresso. It was awesome. Yeah, that's actually what I drank this morning. If you guys are coffee drinkers, what Arvin's talking about is my coffee of choice recently has been a long black, which is a Australian and New Zealand drink. It's like the opposite of an Americano. Pablo, first in, last out is just a rename to last in, first out. Dude, I don't know why, but talking about processing order this morning is completely mind-fucking me. Yeah, but this has been my go-to coffee drink. That's what Arvin's talking about. It's pretty good. The ratio, I don't have like any real scientific approach to the ratio, but it's pretty good. I think we're in a good place. So once we have the current, we need to figure out, have we reached our destination? That's basically the first thing we need to check. So if the current, this would be, this is where a struct would have been really helpful. So 3-3 espresso tastes dull. That thing tastes smooth. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. So let's do current row is going to be equal to current at position 0. Current column is going to be current at position 1. And then current, I think I called this distance up above, is going to be current 2. In which case, whoops, sorry, I know we're getting to the end of the file there. We'll return the current distance. If we have actually reached our target, then current 0, or sorry, current row equals target row, and current column equals target column. So that's the case where we've been able to reach the end of the thing. Now we have to actually get into our directions, right? So this is where for direction equals what? Direction comes from ranging over directions. Like this, I think. Hopefully we'll successfully solve the problem. So let me if you guys need to hop because I'm gonna take a break, that's totally cool. But if you're gonna stick around and see if I can finish this thing off, I appreciate you. With vectors, this would be current equals target. I know. It's so fucking ugly because I made such a bad choice. To encapsulate or not to encapsulate. And apparently I made the wrong, to abstract or not to abstract. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna mute myself, and when I come back, if I'm talking on mute, just let me know. If you guys are gonna stick around, maybe this would be a good time to get yourself a hot beverage, and then I'll meet you back here in like 5 minutes. And when I say like 5 minutes, I mean like I'm gonna try to make it a short break. Like, just bear with me. I'll be right back. Is my wife in the chat? Yeah. Honey. Good morning. Love you. I'm gonna try not to be a slacker. Steven, you are muted. Turn on the mic. I'm back. Yes, we have we've made sure I have unmuted myself. It is Kelsey. She made quite an entrance, didn't she? All right, we are really close to having this thing, I think, solved. Famous last words. So what do we need to do? So for each direction, we basically need to say what's our next move, right? That's basically what we need to say. Next. And this goes back to Pablo's thing. If we had actually abstracted this would be a lot simpler to write, but because we're dealing with the individual rows and column indexes again and again, this is actually way more error prone, actually, because we're manually manipulating these things. So this actually should be next row is going to be equal to the current, whatever the current is, current row plus direction Y, not direction X, direction Y, because Y takes us up and down in our grid. X takes us left and right, right? Left and right is columns, up and down is rows. So then we got next column is going to be current column direction. So that's our next position that we want to look at in our path traversal. Wilo Gamer Pro, how's it going? Dude, everyone makes that joke and I love it. I love it. Wait, what do you use to show the animated BRB coffee thing in terminal? I love lamp. I just use a PowerShell script. Let me see if I can get that up for you real quick. It's just a PowerShell script. Or I guess a PowerShell function that I called BRB. Let me see if I can cat profile, I think will get us there. Yeah, so basically this is what I do. I have some predefined text here, and then I have some predefined steam lines, right, that basically alternate. Then all I do is I sit in a loop, and I just write those messages. And then every millisecond, I sleep for a millisecond, and then when I come back through, I overwrite the steam. I just do that endlessly until I close that function or stop that function from executing. So it's not particularly smart. It was just like the simplest thing I could think of. And I spent way too much time trying to figure out how to make sure I get the animation to line up, but it looks pretty good. Yeah. Also, I don't know if that's I don't know if I updated my PowerShell config. Kelsey, does the hand gesture help explain? It does. It does. Okay. I also, not only do I like to talk with my hands, but I also like to draw pictures. Okay. So we have the animation steam here, and then we have to invert that. Last active 5 months ago. Yeah, I haven't updated my PowerShell just there in a bit. Artwork. Hold on. Please make it a GitHub repo. Make what a GitHub repo? Sorry, I missed that. Oh, you mean make my PowerShell part of a Git repo? She would go crazy. Our hands do 90% of the talking. Well, that's why I love Zoom It. It's because when I'm in a conversation normally with somebody, I use my hands a lot. But when you're working remotely with people, like this looks kind of like Kelsey pointed out. This kind of looks dumb to like do all the time. So that's why I feel like Zoom It is such a good tool because you can draw and do your boxes and make error. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like the digital version of talking with your hands. The Italians left that in our blood. That's funny. Artworks used. Oh, the coffee animation. Yeah, I'll update my PowerShell profile. That I'll update that just so that it has it. Renee, I just fixed the pipeline problem of 4 days because I didn't understand that number. The number sign is a special character. Oh, bro, I bet that feels amazing. I bet you're on cloud nine right now, just living it up, just basking in your glory of how smart you are. It's such a good feeling, is it not? Like, yes, I actually have a problem at work right now like that, where I spent the last 4 hours yesterday trying to fix something and I could not figure it the fuck out. But I know once I figure it out, it's going to be so glorious. Actually, hand gestures are good for streaming. Well, I just never know if they come across, right? And then like I look funny because I'm like miming, like I don't know. I think the screen drawing might be better. Okay, so what's the first thing we need to do here? We need to make sure we're not going to go off the grid. So make sure we do not move off the grid. So how do we do that? Well, we're basically going to say if the next row is greater than the length of our grid minus 1. Yeah. And then, or if next row is less than 0. So if either of these things are true, we should just skip. We should not do this move. If next column is greater than we're gonna always assume our grid, the rows and the columns always have the same length. That's probably not always a safe assumption, but that's what we're gonna assume. Or R10JR, thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. Or next column is less than 0. We will also continue. This is again an abstraction. Pablo is never going to let me forget that I did not abstract the grid. Nor should he. Yeah, so if our next move takes us off the grid, then we say fuck it, we're not doing that. Well, I agree with you. If you let a guy slack just little, they take way too much liberty. Do the dance again? Okay. So now, excuse me. Now, what do we need to do now? I guess now we need to check to see what's there. Or do we enqueue it? No, I think we need to check to see if it's there. What's there? So, next value, I think. Should be next row. Never mind, he figured it out already. Oh, I wanted to screenshot, but I missed it. I have my boss at work. One of her favorite things to do. It's so funny the stuff people we do for remote to make remote work fun. But things she does is whenever somebody makes a funny face or does like a funny gesture in a meeting, she will screenshot it. She's very quick too. She will screenshot it and then she turns it into a Slack emoji. It's great. Toad Sage 106. Yo, what's going on? Hey, Toad Sage. We are working on practicing some Go by solving old Advent of Code problems. And it seems to be, Kelsey, chaos. There is a lot of chaos happening. But that's what we're doing. We're practicing Go. So I think if the next value is an unsafe character, then we also want to continue, right? Does that sound right? Oh, nice. So which problem it is? This is day, what is this, chat? This is day 18. This is day 18, year 2024. Yeah, 18 part 1 too, yeah. So basically, Pablo's idea, because I had been doing problems I had already done. So I did like, I think we did day 1, 2, and then I think, did we skip 3? It went to 4. But then Pablo was like, you should do some that you haven't done before. And so I stalled at 17 part 2 last year, so we picked up at 18. Yes, you are chaos, honey. But good chaos. Good chaos. We like your chaos. I like your chaos. Yeah. Sam, this year it's only 12. So I know, so somebody else has mentioned that to me, and I saw that on the website. What do you guys feel? For those of you who do admin of code, do you guys feel that cutting it in half is bad? Because my initial take was, Sam, on it was I thought it would be more manageable for me to keep up with personally, because I felt like, well, I could do part 1 of day 1, and then I can do day 1, part 2 on the second day, right? So I felt like it was more manageable for me personally, because I'm kind of slow at these things, as evidenced by the fact that we're 2 hours into the stream and I still haven't solved the problem. But I kind of thought it was going to be more manageable for me. Is it going to be 1st to the 12th or at 1 every 2 days? I was thinking it was just going to be literally like one each of the 12 days, and I was just going to stretch it out to be all 24. But I wonder if he talks about that in here. Also, starting this year, there will be 12 days of puzzles each December. So why did the number of days it takes a ton? Okay, yeah, but he explains it basically it's just a time thing. The puzzles will still start on December 1st, so that the day numbers make sense. Day 1 equals December 1st, and puzzles come out every day, ending mid-December. Yeah, so it'll be puzzle 1, day 1, puzzle 2, day 2. But I think what I'll probably do is I'll just split it up so it takes all 24 days, and I'll just do day 1, part 1 the first day 1, part 2 the second day, and I'll just stretch it out over the 24 days. I think is what I'll do. That's much more manageable for me personally. Toastage, am I talking to a bot? Who are you talking to? You mean I Love Lamp? Hey, what's up, Sogo? Good to see you, man. Pablo, 1st to the 12th, no leaderboard. Yeah. Okay, Pablo already knew. Should we do a private? Oh, we definitely should do a private leaderboard. Yeah. I'll post a private leaderboard, I guess, in, I don't know. Do we open it up to the whole channel or do we just do the Discord? I guess we'll probably, I don't know. I guess we need to probably think about that. Do we want all the potential YouTube riffraff? Discord is cool, yeah. So yeah, I think we'll put the private leaderboard then for the Discord server. But yeah, we definitely should do one. You'll probably be at the top of it. So if next value is unsafe, then we continue. And then there's also another one that's if we've already visited this, right? So I think we can actually check this earlier. So I think we can say if has already or have already visited, I think we can say that's going to be visited, and then our struct, which in this case is going to be row next row, and then column next column. So if we've already visited, then we can also continue. If have already visited, continue. Right? So if the next move takes us off the board, we're out. If the next move takes us someplace we're already been, we're out. If the next move takes us into an unsafe character because we've already done that, we've already built our grid with the memory corrupted, then we skip. Otherwise, then we actually do our then we actually queue it. So this is where we need to mark it as visited. Which I think we could probably say visited key is going to be equal to anonymous struct with row of int and column of int, and then basically this stuff here. And then we can say, instead of doing that, we can say visited key. Otherwise, we'll actually put that in our map, right? So this is where we want to say visited equals visited key. And then we want to set that to true. And then we want to in-queue this position. So we want to say queue equals a pin, right, Pablo? Right? We're appending to the end of the queue. I'm asking Pablo to solve my problems. Then we need to create a slice of 3 ints, which is going to be what's this going to be? So it needs to be our next row, our next column, and then whatever our current distance is plus 1, right? I hope. And I think that will get us, this should hopefully get us to where we need to go. So ideally we're going to find a path out of this place. So let's just recap what we're doing, right? So we're going to come in and this will be min steps, and then we'll return min steps. So we're going to come in here, we're going to start at the top left of our grid, and we're going to try to get to the bottom right of our grid. If our start or our end has corrupted memory, we just return 0. We can't, there's no amount of steps that is possible. Otherwise, we create a queue to keep track of where we should go next. And we keep a visited map that keeps track of where we've been. We initialize our queue with the start, with the beginning spot. We initialize our visited map with the start spot marked as true. we are allowed to move up, down, left, right in our grid according to the problem. Then we're going to start to process the queue. So as long as there's something in the queue, we are going to pull the thing at the top of our list. We're going to take that off, and we're going to use that as our current place. And then we'll get the current row, the current column, the current distance. If the current row and the current column are equal to the target, we know we've reached the end of our path. We can return how many ever steps it took. I actually think I want to call this something other than distance. I think I want to call this like steps. Yeah, I think I want to call this steps. Current steps. So if we haven't reached the target, then from the current spot, we're just going to go over each direction. We're going to look around at each up, left, right, down direction. If that next place is off the grid, we don't worry about it. If the next place we've already been to, we don't worry about it. And then if the next place is an unsafe or corrupted space of memory, we don't worry about it. Otherwise, we mark it as visited and we add it to the queue so that we can continue down that branch. All right, moment of truth. Let's run it. Go test. Hey! Oh, you guys can't see it because I've got too many print statements in there. Let's go. We did it. Don't print anything. And now, to make Pablo happy, we should probably refactor this to a nice abstracted and encapsulated code. Go test. There we go. It passed. Okay, so now we need to run it on our actual input. Pablo Pablo is on the same wavelength. Okay, so let's try real quick. Let's try it on our. Let's try it on the full input, and then if that works, we'll refactor. Let's fucking. Whenever I can solve one of these, man, it just feels so good. Because like 2 years ago or even 3 years ago, this would have felt almost, impossible. Early on learning to code, like being able to do something like this, it's one of those things that, you can see the progress, right? You can see your abilities growing year to year. So now we need to bytes to sim is going to be 1024. We're going to say expected is -1 because we don't know what to expect here. And then the grid size is going to be 70. So this is obviously going to fail. So it said got 370 but wanted -1. So let's just see. We're going to take 370 and stick it into our input here. And we're going to see if we're correct. Oh, did I? The moment of truth. Let's see, 370. Oh, let's go. That's the right answer. You are 1 gold star closer to finding the chief historian. We did it. Let's go, bro. All right, so let's see. It's 6:31. We can refactor. We have time to refactor this, chat, I think. And we have tests, so we know if we break anything. Let's see. We expect 370. What's up, Harsh? Yeah, you did catch the stream, man. Glad to have you. Hope you're doing well. Dude, that's awesome. That felt so good. And Pablo, again, thank you for sorting me out, because I think if you hadn't had, going back to that conversation about how to make a queue, I think if Pablo had said, wait a minute, Steven, that's last in, first out, I think I would have foobarred this step. Yeah. So to all the chat. I mean, there was another fella in here earlier. I don't know if he's still here, Kirk. If you're still here, thanks a lot, Kirk. Everyone was very helpful. See you, Toad Sage. Have a good day, man. I think what I like, what I'm happy. I don't really care so much that I that I solved it. I mean, I do. Kelsey, you're welcome. I don't I don't really care so much that I solved it, but what I care about is like I feel like I can write code and Go, right? So I feel like my goal has somewhat been accomplished. I actually haven't done this one. You did great. No, you killed it, Pablo. I think if, like you said, if you hadn't sorted me out, I think I would have gone down a very buggy rabbit hole for a little bit trying to figure out why I can't get things to work. So I think now let's do what Pablo said. Let's see if we can't abstract this a little bit. So I think the first thing I'd like to do. What's the first thing I'd like to do? So I think the first thing is I'd like to be able to say, I think I'd like to have a grid type. I did use continue today. You saw that. Yep. We did use continue and we used it correctly. Yeah, man, do your chores. You don't want to get in trouble. Shib Shank. We can relax, actually. Don't take it too hard. Just kick back and bask in all our glory now. So I think what I want is I do think Pablo's right. I think I want some type of grid, and then I also want some sort of vector. Like my direction is basically the vector thing he was talking about. But I think I want like I think this is what I want. Vec and grid 100%. Yeah. I think I want a type of grid. Yeah, type of grid. Or not, that's not how you do that. Type struct of grid. And I think I want some functions that hang off of that type. Why is the continue working today? Yeah, the logic. Rename direction to vec and then have some constant somewhere in for all the directions. We can do that. So we'll do rename vector and then up, down, left, right. Yeah, that works. So Pablo, can you make these? Wait, do classes not exist in Go? They do not. Yeah, they do not. It's kind of interesting. I was doing some reading about this last night about so I guess Go isn't considered, I guess I didn't realize this. I thought Go was a functional programming language, but apparently it's a multi-paradigm language. And I think Pablo straightened me out about this earlier, a week ago or something like this, but you can write both object-oriented and functional code using Go, but you can't, if you're familiar with object-oriented code, you can't use classes, you can't use inheritance. Emin, thanks for subbing, man. I appreciate it. So you're basically just limited to encapsulation, abstraction, and it does support interfaces. So you can have interfaces too in Go. So it's just different. You can still do object-oriented code. You just have to take a little bit different cut at it. So like instead of inheritance, you'd have to use composition, right? Which is kind of interesting because I came into this thinking Go was like really functional in nature, but it's really not. It's much more like JavaScript or TypeScript, where it supports this multi-paradigm approach. which is cool. I mean, I think that's cool. You can choose your own adventure. Renee, most languages are going in this direction. Most are becoming the new hybrid between OOP and functional. Yeah, and you see that in C# too. I mean, the thing is, C# will never get away from being object-oriented because, like, everything has to be a class at the end of the day. But you see more of that functionality coming where you can do more functional style in C#, which is cool. Because I do. I don't think one is better than the other. I think some problems probably feel better to solve in a functional way or an object-oriented way, just depending on what the problem is. But being able to have access to both paradigms, I think, is killer. Arvin, Go is primarily a procedural programming language with some mock OOP features. So it's a procedural language that allows that tries to masquerade. It's actually very much C. Oh, interesting. I've never written any C, so at some point I probably need to take a side quest, right, to try to be able to compare and contrast things a little bit. 199 makes sense. Google doesn't like the possibility of possible diamond structured inheritance. Yeah, inheritance. I'm not a big fan of inheritance. I think if you have more than like 2 or 3 layers of inheritance, you've taken a wrong turn. Wondering if I should get an algorithm book before Advent of Code to get familiar with it. I would never tell you not to like get a book, right? Like if you're interested in a book and you want to learn something, I would never say like don't do that. I would tell you, as somebody who, the way I learned most data structure or algorithm things was through actually solving problems. I don't think it's necessary. Like I think that's part of the fun of AOC is like, or doing Leak Code. Like you could have the same experience doing Leak Code or Code Wars. Like that's like part of the fun is like being given a problem, getting stuck, and then going to the internet and trying to learn about why you're stuck. Like, why can I not do this? Right? That was me like 2023 when I did Advent Code for the first time. It was like, why can't I solve this problem? Oh, I don't know about A star. Right? Like that, it forces you to expand your world. Right? You don't, I think that's the problem a lot of times as human beings. Like we feel like we should show up already having the answer to the problem. But the fun part of solving problems is that it forces you to learn new skills and new knowledge. It doesn't mean you're less than or that you somehow fucked up or like you haven't done your due diligence. Like that's the way you expand your capability. It's just like lifting weights, right? It's like you don't attempt to lift 300 pounds after you've already lifted 300 pounds, right? Like, so that's I feel like that's the same way with the AOC. So I wouldn't feel like you need to get a book, but if you want to, like, go for it. I just don't think you need to put that pressure on yourself. In C, you would write almost the same code, but a lot more memory allocations and pointers everywhere. Well, that sounds like a nightmare. See you, I love Lamp. Have a good day, man. Thanks for hanging out with us. Okay, we'll take your advice. We'll use the money either at deep diving on what I'm learning or ye old TCP/IP Volume 1. That sounds like exhilarating reading. Harsh, so true. I used Deepcode 150, tried to get on to solving them, but if you need a book, I heard Grokking the Algos is a good book. I've never read any of those. I've not done it. The only books I've written that have been programming related were all books online, like Eloquent JavaScript. I don't know if you guys have heard of that book. And then I just read the Learn with Go. And I guess I did buy a book about like building large language models, but yeah, I haven't done a terrible amount of programming related reading. All right, so the refactor. So we have a type grid. I think grid's going to have some data. The question is, I would kind of, this is what I would do in C#. If I was in C#, this is what I would like to have. I'd like to be able to say something like this. Grid, and I'd like to be able to say something like grid dot from, and then pass in the grid size. But I don't think I can do this without like a separate package, right? I need a separate module. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say grid from. I'm going to rename this to just be grid from. And then I need to, I guess, simulate the underlying. Yeah, maybe I have like a well, this is a. I think I want this to be private. I don't think I want this to be like rows. I mean, I guess I could have an array of coordinates, but I think that completely changes the code that I've written. We usually call them that or new grid. Oh, that's probably more, probably more idiomatic, right, to the way Go is, because I've seen that in other packages. So new grid, and then, I mean, I think if I was doing this like proper, like I would have like I almost think this would be a map, don't you? Like I almost think this would be like a map that is like position XY with some value, right? Or hashtag. Is Pablo becoming your Obi-Wan? Yes, Pablo. Pablo is guiding us along this Go journey. He's like, use the Force. Refactor you must. Yeah, even better. Yeah. We've got quite a few, it seems like, smart people that hang around in my streams. Like people, like it'll surprise me too, because somebody will be like, I'll be in the middle of doing something, and somebody obviously has been following along the whole time. Kind of like that was like Kirk earlier, that was in the chat. Like he was obviously following along the whole time, but he hadn't sent a message yet, and then he sent his first message, and it was like spot on with what I needed to do. Refactor you must. Yes, refactor you must. We need shirts. That's another shirt idea. Anonymous. I would probably maybe reuse the vector for a key. And then just have methods to the structs so you don't have to pass a whole struct every time. Yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea. Steven, you need to make that a slogan. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we have several slogans going on right now. We have Coffee Goblin. We have like the stream for bug-free code. We have refactor you must. I need to keep a list of these things. Pablo, I honestly prefer int for grids, or int array and then your positions are x. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think, like, is it easier or is it better to access things in such a way like this? X plus y times width. Oh, interesting. Huh, I've never thought about it. There's a lot of ways to do this. Yeah, I'm not sure which way I like better. I guess let me look at the rest of my code and kind of see like what I'm doing with it. Like maybe we can back into the right structure by just like writing the code we wish we had. That puts all the rows on the same line, basically. Yeah, it does, but because you did the multiplication by the width, right? Because you added the y and you multiplied by the width, you basically are still able to differentiate what was what. Yeah, true 1D slice. Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously overthinking this way more than is necessary, but I'm just kind of thinking like, how am I using my code? It seems like a lot. I'm dealing with X's and Y's a lot. I'm dealing with rows and columns a lot, right? So it almost seems like I should have some. It almost seems like I should have another type. I know someone said vector, but vector doesn't sound like the right thing to me. But it basically is a vector. But I don't really want row and I'd much rather have like type position. I think this is what I've done in the past with in C# code, where I had like position and then I had row int, column int. Will they allow the use of hash tables? It sounds like that may be frowned upon in the competition. Hash tables? I think that's okay. Yeah. I think you can use hash maps and keys and dictionary and all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. Like I feel like this is where I'm. Yeah, LLMs are frowned upon. Data types are all valid. Oh, did someone say LLMs? I missed that. Yeah, I don't think that like it's necessarily you can't use large language models, but I think that kind of takes the fun out of it, right? Because the large language models probably can see the pattern of whatever the plain English is describing. So to me, it kind of defeats the purpose. Is like the reason why you do a challenge like Advent of Code is to, stress your brain, stress your abilities, not the language model's abilities. Oh yeah, yeah. I just feel like it defeats the purpose. Like I honestly don't care how you do Advent of Code, right? If you want to use Copilot or Cursor, but like to me that seems like it wouldn't be fun. Oh, the puzzle and the inputs are copyrighted? So should I go make my repo private? Because I think I have both the 2023 and 2024. I think both of my repos have the inputs and the answers in them. So maybe I need to go clean that up. I didn't realize that. I guess I didn't read the fine print. You should not upload your input or puzzle text to your repos. Ignore them. Oh, damn. I need to go fix that then. Damn it. I'm an idiot. I guess I didn't read that. That's probably in the description of the event or something, and I just completely blew through it. Oh, Harsh, you have the same issue? Yeah. I'm guessing like I'm guessing Eric doesn't run around with like a lawyer enforcing everyone's violation, but in an effort to be of good faith, right? Like I'll fix that. Yeah. Okay, but it's nice to know I'm not the only person that did this. Let's see. So I think I want this. Positions. And I want a map whose key are position and whose values are strings. Nah, just use cloud computing to supplement your requirements unless it is for gaming. Oh, yeah, we're talking about the RAM and the storage prices. Yeah, that stuff's expensive. All that stuff's expensive. It's why it took me so long to even build a NAS. And for my NAS, I used just spinning hard disk, and I still thought that was expensive. Anonymous. So it is frowned upon, but the problems are not copyrighted. Ah, okay. So I didn't, I haven't broken it. So the concept of AOC though is copyrighted. Ah, well, I still like if it's discouraged to upload the puzzles, then yeah, I'll definitely go and pull those from my Git from the repos. I didn't realize that. I did that because I thought it would be nice in the future to be able to look back and be able to see like what were these solutions solving. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be able to see like what was the problem, you know, what was the story. But I guess it does make sense that then it kind of makes it easy for people to, I don't know, rip it off, I guess. My roommate's 32 gig stick died on him. He's in shambles with the current RAM market. The bad timing. That's really shitty timing. Well, AOC does not own your solutions either. Well, yeah, but I don't. I mean, I'm sure the fact of the matter is they just don't want people like making it easy, I guess, for other people to get the like basically to recreate their setup. I'm guessing is what the issue is. They own everything on their site. Well, there you go. So they probably do own the puzzles. They probably don't want those. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I just if it's frowned upon or if it's copyrighted, either way, I'm just gonna pull them for my. So that nobody. I mean, I've already committed the crime. I guess at this point, I've already committed the violation. So hopefully Eric doesn't want to come after a 32-year-old dad of two. Okay, and then I think what I want here is I think I want type, or no, I want a function. The design elements, languages, and concept of admin of code are also property, may not be all right straight from there. Ah, yeah, there you go. Terms of service, man. Harsh. I took mine down, by the way. You're the only criminal now. Well, fine. Hey. We can fix this real quick. Shit, man. I don't play with that stuff. You don't want to give anybody although have you guys there's a book out there that's called like 3 felonies a day or something like that. 3 felonies a day book. Yeah, there's this book. It's called 3 felonies a day. He basically talks about how like there's so many laws, rules, and regulations that you yourself don't know about that in any given day you probably commit 3 felonies without knowing about them. I haven't read the book, but I listened to an interview with the author, and it was pretty interesting listening to him talk about it. And I thought, well, damn, I'm screwed, man. I've read, yeah. So we're just gonna make this private till we can get that sorted out. So that Harsh can't shame me anymore. Although I will say that's kind of an interesting thing because you would think if you are the creator of Advent of Code, and I'll just play devil's advocate here. I don't have any issue with anybody copywriting their stuff. But if you want to create something that's viral, that's very shareable, right? You would think then you wouldn't want to actually like punish people for sharing or make it and shareable. You really wouldn't care if people did this kind of stuff, you know? You just can't share the puzzle content or the inputs on your repo. I'm going to fix that because I was doing that. Renee, you play devil's advocate. I'll play Angel's defense lawyer. You can share that you did AOC and how you solved the problems linking to their site. Well, this is what I'll do. Is it the tests you have their inputs in? No, I have the input and the problem. Like I have a problem.md file and an input.txt file in every solutions in every folder, every day's folder. That's just how I structured it all. So I'll just go through and remove the inputs, or I'll basically do what Pablo said. I'll just reset the Git repo and then Git ignore the input.txt files and the problem.md files. Yeah, I'll leave the code. Well, I need to go through and actually do that. So, but I just made it private for now. So now I'm not a criminal either. Harsh. We didn't get to do any refactoring. We spent way too much time chatting, but this was fun. This was way more fun than refactoring. Anonymous confused me for a second. Yeah, no worries. No worries. I'm context switching between the stream and reading stuff. Yeah, aren't we all context switching? We just need to order the acid later. That is a whole different kind of stream now. Alright guys, well I think that's going to do it for me this morning. This was fun. I think tomorrow, what we'll do tomorrow is maybe we'll do like an hour or two of Golang practice, but I'd like to work on that link site a little bit, you know? I don't think there's a lot of work to be done, but I'd like to work on it. I think that's what we'll do. We'll do tomorrow. We'll do like an hour and a half maybe, and then we'll switch. We'll spend half the time on. I don't know if we may not solve the problem, but we'll spend like an hour and a half on that, and then an hour and a half doing the static site using Go. All right, y'all. Let's see. Normal send off. I don't have any news to share with you guys. We're going to keep doing what we've been doing the last few weeks on stream. So that's what you can expect content-wise. For anybody who's new here, our Discord, you can find... Oh, Stream Elements just put it in the chat. Pablo said, see a lawbreaker. Please, nobody forward this to the attorneys of admin of code. Yeah, so if you want to talk to me or anybody in chat outside of the stream, Discord's the best place to find us. If you hit discord.steamfreeborn.com, you can put an app in, and I'll approve it likely. And then if you want to know when I'm usually live at 4:15 a.m. Central Standard Time till about 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and I try to do that every day. Sometimes we go a little longer on the weekends. Why is it that time? Well, 4:15 is just super early in the morning. It gives me like 2 or 3 hours to do this before I have to go to like my real life, you know, to my job and my family. So, yeah, that's the schedule. So if you see me live, obviously you don't have to hang out the whole time. But if you see me live, I'd appreciate if you guys just stop in and said, hey, good morning. It's always nice to hear from recurring faces. And with that, I'm going to read some chat and then I'm going to go. James Solver, hi, how are you? I'm doing well, man. Sorry you showed up right at the end of the stream, but I'm doing well. Thanks for the stream. Oh, of course, Renee, yeah. All right, bye Artwork Studios, bye Pablo, bye Renee, see you Harsh, bye James Solver, bye Anonymous, 199, see you later, and anybody else who's still here. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, bye guys. Bye chat. Bye. See y'all.